The paradox of Magnus and freestyle. Magnus Carlsen calls freestyle chess his favorite format. He says it brings him childish joy, a liberating version of the game where preparation takes a backseat to pure calculation and creativity. And for good reason. He holds the highest freestyle rating ever recorded at 2,909, and in Karlsruhe, he achieved a flawless 9 out of 9 performance that felt almost untouchable. In those moments, Carlsen looked like a player existing on a different planet. But freestyle chess, the format he adores most, hasn't always been kind. It's also been the setting for his biggest and most brutal defeats, the moments that turned the so-called chess god into just another player trying to survive chaos. When the young guns struck. February 2024, the first ever freestyle chess GOAT challenge at the Waisenhaus Resort in Germany. Carlsen had assembled the strongest field possible, the world's elite plus the brightest prodigies, in a tournament designed to show the beauty of a format without preparation. What he didn't expect was that the young guns would make their mark so violently. The first shock came in round 2 against Gukesh Domaraju, just 19 years old, but already a superstar in the making. Gukesh, playing white, opened with an aggressive 1f4 against a random setup: rook, queen, king, bishop, knight, knight, bishop, rook. Magnus responded with solid moves: 1c6, then 2g3 and f5. But the position was volatile from the start. By move 4, after 4c3, bxg1, 5 rxg1, nd6, Magnus had simplified material but lost momentum. That gave Gukesh exactly what he wanted: an unbalanced position and open lines to attack. When Gukesh slammed 7e4 on the board, signaling a full-on assault, the tone was set. Instead of retreating, he doubled down, playing with the precision and fearlessness that only a confident teenager can. By move 14 e5 and 15 bx e6 plus dx e6, Magnus was already in deep trouble. Then came the shot: 18 nd4 nc5, 19 qx c6, a brutal combination that traded material for an unstoppable attack. By the time the game reached the 30s, Magnus's king was wandering aimlessly while Gukesh's army suffocated him. It ended with clean technique and a handshake, Gukesh cementing himself as one of the few to ever take down Carlsen in that event. Round 7 brought a different kind of lesson, courtesy of Nodirbek Abdusattorov. The Uzbek prodigy, just 19, didn't rely on wild tactics or shock value. He beat Magnus in a way that hurt more: a slow technical squeeze. From a starting position resembling the Dutch defense, Abdusattorov neutralized Magnus's early activity, traded pieces with clinical precision, and steered the game into an endgame where every subtlety mattered. Move after move, the advantage grew. By the time the pawn storm rolled down the board, Magnus's legendary endgame prowess failed him completely. Abdusattorov won, calmly and cleanly, finishing the rapid round robin undefeated, with 5.5 by 7. Magnus just 4.5 by 7, and a humbling 5th place. It was a reminder that in freestyle, youth and adaptability can topple even the most experienced champions. The Vegas Meltdown. July 2025, Las Vegas. The Freestyle Chess Grand Slam had arrived at the win, and everything pointed to this being Carlsen's moment. He was the tour leader, riding high after Paris and Karlsruhe. He looked unstoppable. This was supposed to be a victory lap. Instead, Vegas turned into a nightmare. The first cracks appeared in round 3 against 16-year-old Pragnananda. The game began quietly with 1 e4 c6, 2 c3 f6. But from there, Magnus seemed out of rhythm. Pragnananda built a central pawn majority with 12 d5 cx d5, 13 ex d5, and then demonstrated flawless technique, dismantling Carlsen piece by piece. By the time the decisive sequence, 18 nx f5, qx f2 plus appeared, Magnus was lost. When Prag finished the job with 43 qe6 plus, it wasn't just a loss, it was a statement. The teenager, young enough to be his son, had just beaten the greatest rapid player in history. Magnus recovered to win the match overall, but the damage lingered. By round 8, he was paired against his old nemesis, Wesley So. The same Wesley who had handed him the most humiliating defeat of his career in 2019. Magnus started well, building a near-winning position, his pieces dancing in harmony, threatening to break through. But then came the collapse. Missteps, hesitation, and suddenly the position flipped. Wesley turned the game around, handing Magnus another painful loss, and the ghosts of Hovikoden came rushing back. The breaking point arrived in the playoffs. Tied for 4th place, Carlsen faced Levon Aronian in a must-win match to advance. The pressure was suffocating. Instead of rising to the occasion, Magnus crumbled. Aronian won both games with surgical precision, exploiting every misstep and every bit of nervous energy radiating from Carlsen's side of the board. The scoreboard read 2-0. Just like that, the tour leader was knocked out of the title race on the first day of the knockout stage. He would go on to salvage third place, but the damage was done. Vegas was supposed to be a celebration of supremacy. It became an open wound instead. The ultimate betrayal, Wesley So's World Championship massacre. And then there was Norway, November 2019. The first official FIDE World Fischer Random Championship held in Hovikoden. Carlsen entered as the overwhelming favorite. He had already beat Hikaru Nakamura in a match, had called himself the unofficial Fischer Random World Champion, and now had a chance to make it official in front of a home crowd that worshipped him. Across from him sat Wesley So, the quiet Filipino-American Grandmaster, a player who had grown up studying Magnus's games and calling him an inspiration. But over the board, there was no reverence, only ruthless precision. The match format awarded 3 points for a win in slow rapid games, 2 in fast rapid, and 1 in blitz. For Magnus to lose badly, he'd have to collapse across every format. That's exactly what happened. In round 9, Wesley showed the first cracks in the myth of invincibility. Playing black, Carlsen misjudged the dynamics of the position and sacrificed material to create complications, so didn't flinch. Move by move, he neutralized the threats, reached an endgame, and then, in a slow, suffocating grind, converted the advantage with flawless technique. 96 moves later, Magnus slumped in his chair and the handshake sealed his fate. Round 10 was worse. From a symmetrical starting setup, Wesley outplayed him positionally, then uncorked a tactical masterpiece. The Rook lift, with RxF7, the bishop slicing through dark squares and Magnus's king caught in the net. It was the kind of domination Magnus usually inflicts on others. By move 38, forced to resign, Carlsen looked stunned. By round 11, the psychological damage was plain to see. Magnus's play was passive, unrecognizable, and Wesley clinically punished every hesitation. Round after round, the scoreboard got uglier. By the time round 12 ended, Carlsen was effectively done, trailing 10.5 to 1.5, a margin so massive it didn't even feel real. Cameras caught him leaving the playing hall in silence, avoiding Norwegian reporters. The final humiliation came in round 14. Wesley opened sharply with 1 F4, and by move 25 NE7+, the game and the match was effectively over. The final score was 13.5, 2.5. Let that sink in. 4 wins, 2 draws, 0 losses for Wesley So. The title was secured with 6 rounds still to play. Leonard Barden, the veteran chess journalist, called it crushing, and fans compared it to Bobby Fischer's legendary 6-0 sweeps. Carlsen himself admitted later that the loss hurt deeply, a rare moment of candor from a man who usually shrugs off defeats. For a player who had not lost the classical game in over 2 years and was sitting at the highest rating ever recorded, this was uncharted territory, a public unraveling that showed more than anything that even the greatest can be humbled. The bitter irony. Magnus Carlsen remains the face of freestyle chess. He's still the highest rated player in the format and still capable of brilliance that no one else can match. But these moments, Kukeshu's tactical storm, Abdusaturov's endgame squeeze, the Vegas collapse, and Wesley So's massacre are reminders that the very chaos that frees him from theory also strips away his usual safety nets. In freestyle chess, there's no script, no preparation to lean on, and even the greatest player of his generation can be laid bare. And maybe that's why Magnus keeps coming back. For the thrill, for the chaos, for the childish joy of a game where even he can be surprised. So, subscribe so you can watch more crazy freestyle chess videos.